Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters, and welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today we are going to make a card using the Papercraft Society. This is box number 41 and it is by Chloe's Creative Cards. I have an unboxing to this, you'll see it down below. But I'm going to share with you now some of the products that we're going to use to make our card. So for my card, I want to put a number on it. This card is going to be for a special 50th birthday. I'm using the 5 and the 0 from the Card Making Magic Large Occasion Landmarks collection. And I'm going to die cut these out using some glitter silver cardstock. The next die I'm going to use from my stash will be this one. It's the Made to Surprise Chunky Alphabet die set, and I'm going to use the letters in this for the name of the person I'm putting on the card. And then finally, I'm going to be using these. These are the Made to Surprise side panel 5x7 Showstopper card mechanism die set. So they are the dies from my stash that we will be using today. Okay, so let's have a look at the products from the Papercraft Society kit that I'm going to be using. So I have the Papercraft Society booklet here, and inside it gives you a link. As a subscriber, you can download the papers that come in your kit. So I have done that. I'll have the 8 papers that came in the kit as well as those that I download. So I've done that. I've gone onto my laptop, I downloaded the papers, and then I printed them up in my printer. I've used 250 GSM cardstock to print these up, and I have some of them cut into already for the card I'm going to make, but I've printed up 2 of each one. Now mine won't be opalescent like what you get in the kit, but that's okay, I don't mind. Anyway, there are 8 sheets that are downloadable, and I printed them up, like I said, twice, so I have them here. So when I'm struggling to pick this up. When I print these out, I have a little wallet here. I keep all the bits and pieces, and then I've just taken a piece of the pattern paper and put on it what these papers are. So it's handy if ever I want to go back to a box and make a card. I have some of the papers etc downloaded already, but it is saved in my laptop, so I can go to that and print them up again. And you can print them up to whatever size you want, which is something that I love. So I have my papers downloaded and printed there, and I have them. I'll also be using the dies and stamps that come in the kit. Now, oh, that one's upside down. This is how I store them when I get them. I take them off, the dies come off the plastic acetate that they're stuck onto, and I put them onto a 300 GSM white sheet and then onto a magnetic sheet and keep them in these sleeves. And then with the stamps, I stick them onto a 300 GSM cardstock as well. So I have them, and then they store nicely on my shelf in my craft room. Some of the other products I'm going to use is the sequins. I'm going to use these to embellish my card. And then we get the tissue paper. It wraps up some products that we get in the box, and sometimes it's hard to know what to do with it. You can use it for wrapping a gift as well, but I thought it'd be really cool if I took this and used the flower dies and die cut out some flowers, and you can see them here. What I did was I folded the sheet over. I cut strips, wide strips of it, and I folded it over, and the die cuts through quite a few layers of this tissue paper. And then when they're die cut out, I just separated them all. I used a foam piece that I have in my stash. This is a Sizzix one, and I used a ball tool, and I have lots of different ones. This is the 8mm and the 5mm one. And then with the die cut ones out, what I did was I took each petal and rolled it around the center. And then when I had that done, I took my layers of the tissue paper and I just glued the layers so it would be like petals of flowers. So all the layers are glued just down in the center. And then I took a accent glaze. I used the Made to Surprise accent glaze. I put a dollop of that in the center, added some of the glitter, the silver glitter that we got in the kit. I added that to the center, and I made all these little flowers with it. This one has the larger petals and then the medium petals in the center. This one is the medium petals and some small ones. This one here is just the small ones. And let me see. Yeah, so I have made 4 of the larger ones with the medium petals in the middle. And then I have made 3 of the medium-sized flowers and then 1 of the small ones. I don't think I'm going to need all of these, but I thought it would be nice to have these all ready to go. I did put a little bit of glue and sprinkle some glitter around the petals on this one to see how it would look, and I really do like the look. So if you want your petals more closed, you can just shape them in with your palm of your hand like so, and it'll bring them in a little more. So it's just about how much you how much you actually use your ball tool on them, but I really do think they're beautiful. Now this card, this Showstopper card that I will make, it will go into a handmade box envelope because the size of it, it's going to be a 5x8 card. I believe that's the size of it. Let me just make sure. It's actually going to be a 7x8 card once the card is made up. So I'm going to make a box for it to go into, and I'll show you that as well. I'll make that here also. Okay, so let's take out all our flowers and have a look at everything else that we're going to need and that I've prepared. So I'll just put them off to the side there. You can see I have my number, my 50 number that I've die cut out. I also took some foam and I doubled over my foam and stuck it together, and then I die cut that out. So I die cut out my doubled up foam first, and then I die cut out my silver glitter card, and I glued the 2 of those together. And that has given me my 50, and there's lots of dimension in it. I've also die cut out the name of the person that this is going to be for. I've die cut out the letters again in the silver, and then I took a single layer of some pink foam and I die cut them out, and then I glued the 2 together, and I just glued them together using some Cosmic Shimmer liquid adhesive. So I have them all there. I'm going to take these out of my little homemade tray that I have here. So I have the dies here so I can show you what I have die cut out. First of all, I've die cut out these 2 panels, which is this one here, and I used my Big Shot Plus machine to die cut these 2 panels out. So you can see here there are some cut lines and there are some score lines. The score lines from this are faint because if they are too heavy they might go through your cardstock. So what I will do is I will get out my scoreboard and I will go over these score lines just to reinforce them and make it easier for me then to put the cardstock the way I want it. Okay, so next then we'll be using the matte and layering dies here. These 2 dies here, if I keep one out you'll be able to see. These 2 dies here cut your mattes and layers here and I've done this twice. I've done my matte layer in white and then my pattern paper layer here. And these two, when they're glued together, will then sit on our panel like so. I'll just move this out of the way a little bit so you can see better. I'm going to move this panel away because what we do on this one, we'll do on the other panel as well. Next then I have the mats and layers for in here, and these are these two dies here. That will give us this two, and I've used a different paper for this. This will sit in here because there's a score line just in here. Now we do get mats and layers for that one, but I haven't cut them out. I don't feel it needs it. Next then I have these two, and that's these two here. This will then sit across here on our card base. We'll then take the other base and we'll flip this around. So it's in this orientation at the moment. I'm going to turn it around this way, and we're going to glue our two here. So there's a score line here at the end, and there's a score line here at the beginning, and we're going to marry those two up. And when those two then are joined together, it'll give us our big Showstopper card. So we'll then be able to add these mats and layers here, this one here, this one in here, and then I have taken these two dies here and I've put a mat and layer here, and then I've just die cut the larger one. This is going to sit on the back, and that'll give us a place to write a message to the recipient. I'm going to use some of the stamps here to embellish areas on the card, and then we'll use our beautiful handmade flowers to embellish the card as well. That I will do last, with as well as sticking on our letters and our numbers and our sequins. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to reinforce the score lines. I'm going to stick down my mats and layers and then fold up the card. So I'm going to start, this first one here is going to be a mountain fold, and I'm using my fingers and thumbs. My finger is in the back, and I'm just pressing those up and I'm encouraging it into where I want it to be. Then I can encourage this one here, which is a valley fold. These two will become mountain folds. This one will become a mountain fold, and then this one will become a valley fold. So once we've these folds primed, as I like to call them, we can then start moving our panel where we want it. So it's just a matter of encouraging it. And this one here needs to be folded down into our valley fold. So I'm working on that one now, really. Then I can encourage our mountain folds here. So I'm going to fold this one over, then I'm going to fold this one back, then I'm going to encourage these two to sit down, and then I'm going to encourage these two into their correct position with my thumbs. So it's basically looking where I need it to be. I want to now burnish these score lines, and I want to make sure that my cardstock is nice and level, that they're not kind of off here at the bottom or off at the top. So I'll use my scoring tool to encourage those. So here is our two. What we need to do is rotate this one around, and then we can glue that panel down. Now whether you want to put this left over right or right over left is really up to you. It's whatever way you want, but then the whole thing will sit in nicely like so. So now we have our mats and layers down, we have our card bases joined together. I have my panels to go here and here, but I want to stamp on those. So you can see here I have some pattern paper and my panel on this one. So I want to put that here, and then I'm going to stick my 50 onto it. But this one here, I was going to put my pattern paper onto it and then stamp on that, but I think it will be too much. So I'm not going to add my pattern paper to that. I want to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to use the one in the kit, the hope lots of lovely surprises are coming your way. I'm also going to stick the corner, or stamp the corners onto it, and then I'll stick this panel in here. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'll stick this one in here, and then I'm going to stamp on that panel. So I'm delighted with that now. Lovely. So now it's just a matter of embellishing it with our die cut out numbers, letters and flowers. So I'm going to put you on high speed now while I go ahead and do that next. Be aware of how your card is going to fold. So I'm having it fold from the right. I just have little ashtrays here to help with that. So this card will fold from the right and then from the left. It'll fold like that. So when you're putting flowers on it, you don't want to be putting any flowers down here because they'll get flattened. So make sure your flowers are along here and over on this side, so that when the card is folded and put into its box envelope, they won't be damaged. So I'm going to put these, I have these little two here, they're just to hold them up in place for better balance, and I'm going to use my hot glue now to add my flowers on. So again, when you're adding your flowers on, be aware you don't want them sitting off like that, because you'll have to make a bigger box envelope. I'm going to keep mine so they're set literally in like this, and I'm going to add some of the little silver die cuts then in under them to give them a bit of dimension. So you can use your liquid adhesive if you want, but I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue around the corner like that, and just so that I can pop my flowers down and then they're set in place. And I know that they're in enough that they'll fit in my box envelope. So I'm going to speed through adding the flowers, and I'm sorry at the moment I sound so bad. I have a head cold and I sound worse than I actually feel, but yeah, so I don't like to have blank spots, you know, where there's no sound. So I like to do a voiceover. So if you don't want to hear me chatting through this fast piece, just put down the volume a little bit. Anyway, you can see I'm using the hot glue to glue down my flowers. I'm being very aware of folding the card each time I go to add something and after I add something, to make sure it'll fold nicely. I love these silver sparkle die cuts that we got 2 sheets of in the kit. I think they really do add to this card as well. So I've added one of the little flowers under the 50, and then I'm adding some onto the right hand side, and then I'm going to take what looks like little diamond jewels from the sequin mix, and I'm going to dot them around the card as well. This is our card, and I love it. I think it's so cool. It's quite girly, but I think for a 50th birthday, I think it's going to be a mantelpiece stunner. I think there's a lot of cards that are really going to struggle to live up to this one on the mantelpiece. And again, with folding this, it'll fold, this side will fold down, and then this side will fold on top like so. And then we can pop it into our envelope. And that way, when the recipient takes it out, the whole thing will just pop up like so. So that's how it goes down. I'm just being gentle with it now because there's no point in being heavy-handed, but the whole thing will fold flat. And if we didn't have the flowers, or we didn't have any bulk on there, it would fold flat and go into a bouncy envelope. If you make an envelope for this yourself, put the card in and then, you know, glue the sides down. But yeah, I love it. So the next thing to do now is move on and make the envelope for our lovely Showstopper card. So let's go ahead and do that next. So to make our box for our Showstopper card, you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock. One of them for the top will be 11 5/8 by 11 1/8, and then for the bottom will be 11 1/2 by 11. We've gone up 1/8 for the top because it needs to be just that little bit bigger, so one will sit inside the other. So we're going to have this as a reinforced lid, and that means that it's going to fold over in itself inside, so it'll be nice and strong, and that's why we needed to go with the 11s. Otherwise we could have gone 9 5/8 by 9 1/8, but I figure if I'm going up to a bigger size cardstock, and this has been cut down from a piece that is 12 by 12, then I might as well make a reinforced box. So that's what I'm doing for it. We want to rotate our cardstock around each time, and the reason we do that is so that the 1/8 extra is going to be in the middle and not on the outside. So there's 1 and 2, and I'm going to rotate that and then score again at 1 and 2 and then rotate again and score at 1 and 2. And we're going to do the exact same on our other piece of cardstock, our bottom piece, as what we've done on the top piece. My scoreboard now is moved out of the way. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut up here. We have 2 score lines. When you come in from the right, you have 1 score line, 2 score line, and if you come up from the bottom, you have 1 score line, 2 score line. That gives us these 4 squares. I only want to keep this square in here, so I'm going to cut up my score line past the first one and up to the second one. I'm going to do the same on this score line, past the first and up to the second. Then I'm going to cut off these 2 here, but I'm going to do it at an angled cut like that. I'm going to cut off this bottom square like so. I'm going to make an angled cut on this one and on this one, and then I'm going to do an angled cut on this one just up to the first score line. That will make sure that it sits nicely. So let's do that now on the opposite side. I'm going to cut up first the first score line up to the second score line, then again on this one up to the second score line. I'm going to take off these 2, but I'm going to do it by putting an angled cut, so you can, it's kind of hard to show you. I'm going to cut off those 2, so you can see there I've cut off those 2, and what we want to do is put the same angle on here. So I'm going to rotate it around just to make it a little bit easier for myself. There's my 2 angles. Now I want to cut off this bottom square, and then I'm going to cut a notch out of that and a notch there, and I just need to trim that down. So there we go. Now we want to do this exactly the same on the other side, so we'll turn our bottom around and we'll do the same again. So now we have that done on our bottom piece. We want to take our top piece and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to speed through now and do this. So now we have our two pieces and they're both the same. There's a little bit of a difference because one is 1/8 of an inch shorter than the other. So I'm going to start with the bottom one and I'm going to burnish all our score lines. Once all the score lines are burnished, I'm going to take my quick grab glue, and you can see our tabs here at the top and the bottom. I'm going to glue this tab here down first. So I'm going to just fold it over onto itself, and then using my scoring tool I can add a bit of pressure to that. So once we have it done on this side, we want to do it on the other side. So now we have these two flaps here and we have our little tabs. What we want to do is we want to fold these in, fold this over, and then wrap that around. So this is what's going to give us our reinforced bottom. So our side tabs will be hidden under this tab here on both sides, and we'll do that for here and for this one as well. So I'm going to go ahead now, add glue, and do that next. So there is our box bottom. You can see it there, I have it on at bottom. I'm going to work now on the top, and that is more or less the same as what we've done for the bottom. So I have 3 sides done. I'm going to take the bottom now and I'm going to put the top on top of it. I want to make sure when I'm securing these that my box is going to fit nice and snugly around it, and by doing it this way with the tabs, it'll ensure that our lid is going to sit on our bottom nicely. It won't be too tight and it won't be too loose. This is what's worked for me every time I've made these boxes. So you can do it whatever way you find works best for you, but this is how I find works best for me. So I have a little bit of glue on the tabs. I'm just going to fold this over like so, pinching in the sides, and I'm going to make sure to give that a minute for it to catch. Once that's caught, then I can drop out the bottom, and then we can go ahead and glue this last piece down. Now I can fold that over, and I'm confident enough now that my lid is going to sit nicely over my base. So now this is going to sit over my bottom like so, and I'm going to notch out 2 little areas here so we can slip our fingers to pull it down. So the best thing to do, you can eyeball it, or you can take a ruler and you can mark where halfway is. So halfway is 3.5. So I'm just going to put a little mark there, and I'm going to put a little mark in here at 3.5, and then I'm going to take one of my little punches, and you can use an inch punch or 3/4 inch punch or whatever you like. I have an inch one here, and this is my center point. So I'm going to kind of line that up with my notch that my pencil mark there, and I'm going to cut out not half an inch, but less than half an inch, because that's all I'll need to allow my fingers to sit in there. So I'll do the same with this one. And then I have 2 notches, and then that then will sit on over my box like so. And we have our little notches there now. When we want to take off the lid, we can actually have an easier time of doing that. So now I have the box all decorated and I'm delighted with it. We have our beautiful flowers. I've added some gems onto the flowers, so they kind of look like a sparkly water droplet. My accent glaze that I've used, the Papercraft Society accent glaze that we got in a previous box, it's still setting, so it's still a little bit cloudy, but by tomorrow morning that's going to be lovely and clear, and we'll see the sparkle then from our little pot that we got in the box there. I've also added the name of the person. This card is for Colette. If you happen to be watching, Colette, I hope you enjoyed seeing the making of your card. I've added some of the die cut pieces as well onto the box, like what we've put on the front of our card. So our lid comes off, our box fits in beautifully. I'm very happy with this. I think because there's a bit of bulk in the flowers, it's a bit tight into the box, so I could have gone, I think, 1/4 of an inch bigger in a box size, but I'm very happy with this, and I'm happy to give you this size box for this card. You can see again I have added the little jewels that came in the sequin mix onto the petals of our flowers. Our card fits in here nice and snug. I think the inch depth is just enough. If you wanted to add more dimension into this card, you would need to make a deeper box for it. Our card folds flat, which is lovely, and then you just have to take the card out and it pops out like so. So if I move the base of the box out of the way, and I'll just move the lid of the box out of the way as well, you can see then our card. And you can see I've spelt niece correctly, even though I asked my little Google pod, I won't say her name because she'll only ask me what I want, but I did ask her to spell it. She spelt it correctly. I wrote it down on a piece of paper correctly, but I still managed to spell niece wrong. So luckily enough, I was able to peel up the I and the E and switch them around. So yeah, that's me. Blonde moment. I have those regularly, as my girls will attest to. I'm so pleased with how this looks. I love the pattern papers from the kit. I love how the dies that made the flowers. I love the die cuts here in the silver glitter. And I love the little stamp and the corner stamps that I've used there. I have decorated the back a bit more. I figured the front of this is such a wow card. I really should add a little more to the back, which is what I've done. So we have our center panel, and you saw me doing that. I've just added these 2 side panels. I again die cut out 2 white panels using the dies that came in the die set that I had in my stash, and then I stamped big birthday wishes and today is about you, and these are stamps from the Made to Surprise range, and I'll leave links to everything down below, and I got them in Craft Stash UK. So that's the back of our card. It's got loads of sparkle on it, and then that's the front of our card. It stands up beautifully. Hubby was in and he had a look and he thought it looked beautiful, and I hope that Colette likes this card. This card isn't from me for Colette. This is a card my mother-in-law asked me to make for her. So I hope my mother-in-law is happy with it as well as Colette. But that's it now, folks. I've really enjoyed making this card, putting it all together, making all the elements as well as the box for our card to go into. I love the made to surprise dies. Sam's collections are fabulous, and I haven't been using them and showing them on my channel, but it's something I'm going to do going forward. So that's it. If you enjoyed my video, please do give me a thumbs up, click the subscribe button and ding the bell if you're not a subscriber. And if you are watching this and you're not a subscriber, you're new to my channel, I would love if you would do that, please, because it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you're enjoying my videos, and it will share my videos with more people across YouTube if you do that. So thank you very much if you decide to become a subscriber. All the links will be down below to the Papercraft Society box, as well as the made to surprise products that I've used. Sam, I hope I've made you proud with this card, and Chloe, I hope you like what I've done with your box. So that's it. Until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye bye.